In the silent, hallowed tombs of ancient Egypt, history is written on stone and papyrus. But sometimes, the most chilling stories are not written at all, they are screamed. Frozen for 3,000 years, a single horrifying scream echoes from the past, etched onto the face of a man denied peace even in death. This is the story of Unknown Man E, the Screaming Mummy. In 1881, within the royal cache at Deir el-Bahari, a secret tomb carved into the cliffs opposite modern-day Luxor, archaeologists made one of history's most significant discoveries. They found a hidden repository containing the mummified remains of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, including Ramesses the Great and Thutmose III. These kings of the Nile had been moved here long ago by ancient priests to protect them from rampant tomb robbers. But among these legendary rulers lay an anomaly, an outcast. Inside a simple, undecorated cedar coffin, they found a mummy whose appearance defied everything they knew about Egyptian funerary practices. His face was a mask of pure agony, his head thrown back, his jaw locked wide open in a silent, eternal shriek of unbearable pain. This was not the serene, peaceful repose of a revered ancestor journeying to the afterlife. This was a portrait of terror. The questions began immediately. Who was this man, and what unspeakable horror had he witnessed in his final moments? The mystery only deepened as they examined his burial. Instead of being wrapped in the fine linen befitting an Egyptian of status, his body was bound in a sheepskin. To the ancient Egyptians, sheepskin was a symbol of impurity, a ritually unclean material reserved for the cursed. It was a profound and deliberate insult, a mark of eternal shame. His mummification, if one could even call it that, was a hasty, contemptuous affair. His internal organs, which were meant to be carefully removed and preserved in canopic jars, were left inside his body. He was simply left to desiccate, his body contorted by the final, violent spasms of his life. He was given no name, no spells from the Book of the Dead to guide him, no amulets to protect him. He was not prepared for an eternal journey. He was discarded, condemned to oblivion. To understand such a damning verdict, we must travel back to the turbulent final years of the 20th dynasty, to the reign of the last great pharaoh of the New Kingdom, Ramesses III. Ramesses ruled over a powerful but declining empire, beset by foreign invasions and internal strife. Yet the most dangerous threat was not at the borders, but within the gilded walls of his own palace. It was a threat born of ambition and jealousy, a plot known today as the Harem conspiracy. The conspiracy was orchestrated by T, one of Ramesses's secondary wives. Her goal was ruthless and simple: to assassinate the pharaoh and place her own son, Prince Pentawere, on the throne, bypassing Ramesses's chosen heir. The plot was elaborate, involving high-ranking officials, royal concubines, and palace sorcerers who crafted wax figures and magic spells to weaken the king. But the conspiracy was discovered. The plotters were rounded up, and a special tribunal of judges was convened to deliver a swift and brutal justice. Judicial papyri from the era tell us what happened next. The conspirators were found guilty of high treason, one of the most heinous crimes in ancient Egypt. Their punishments were severe. Many were executed, forced to take their own lives to avoid the shame of a public death. Their names were erased from records, their monuments destroyed. They were subject to what the Romans would later call damnatio memoriae, the damnation of memory, the ultimate punishment for an ancient Egyptian, for to have your name forgotten was to cease to exist for all eternity. And it is here, in the bloody aftermath of this failed coup, that the most compelling theory about the Screaming Mummy's identity emerges. Could Unknown Man E be Prince Pentawere himself, the would-be usurper at the heart of the conspiracy? The evidence is tantalizingly circumstantial, yet it weaves a coherent and terrifying narrative. The historical records state that Prince Pentawere was found guilty and subsequently took his own life. Scholars believe he was likely forced to drink poison. Such a death would be agonizing, convulsive, and would almost certainly produce the kind of horrific, screaming expression we see on the mummy's face. The poison would have racked his body with violent contractions, locking his muscles in the final throes of death. The shameful burial in a sheepskin, the complete lack of funerary rites, the anonymous coffin, all of it aligns perfectly with the fate of a traitor who had committed an unforgivable crime against the divine order. It was a punishment designed not only to end his life, but to destroy his afterlife. By wrapping him in an impure material and denying him the proper rituals, his soul was barred from reaching the field of reeds, the Egyptian paradise. His eternal punishment was to be a forgotten outcast, his spirit trapped and tormented, his final moment of agony preserved as a warning for all time. For over a century, this theory has been the leading explanation. Modern science has attempted to shed new light on this cold case. Forensic analysis and CT scans have confirmed the man was young, likely in his late teens or early 20s, fitting the profile of Prince Pentawere. The scans show his lungs were inflated, suggesting a sudden death by strangulation or suffocation, which could also be consistent with poisoning, as certain toxins can cause paralysis of the respiratory system. The contorted position of his body strongly suggests a violent, convulsive death, not a peaceful passing. Yet, definitive proof remains elusive. Without a positive DNA match to the remains of Ramesses III, Pentaware's identity cannot be confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt, and the mystery invites other, equally chilling possibilities. One alternative hypothesis suggests a purely medical cause. Perhaps the man was not a victim of palace intrigue, but of a sudden and catastrophic health event. A massive heart attack, for instance, can cause extreme pain and muscular contraction, potentially leading to the scream-like expression. A rare condition like strychnine poisoning, which could have been administered as a medicine or an accident, is also known to cause opisthotonus, the severe arching spasm of the back, neck, and spine seen in the mummy. This would explain the horrific facial expression, but it fails to adequately account for the deliberate, ritualistic dishonor of his burial. Why would a man who died of natural causes, even violent ones, be treated with such profound contempt? Why wrap him in sheepskin and deny him passage to the afterlife? Unless his death was merely the beginning of his punishment, this theory leaves critical questions unanswered. This leads to a third, even darker possibility. What if the scream was not the result of poison or a heart attack, but of live burial or some other form of ritualistic torture? It's a gruesome thought, but ancient justice could be unimaginably cruel. Perhaps the sentence for his crimes was to be sealed within his coffin while still alive, his final breaths spent screaming into the suffocating darkness. Or maybe he was the victim of a form of execution designed to inflict maximum terror and shame, a public spectacle of suffering before his body was unceremoniously disposed of. This would account for both the scream and the dishonorable burial, painting a picture of a justice system as unforgiving as the desert sands. His fate was sealed not just to kill him, but to make an example of him, his body becoming a monument to his transgression. And so the debate continues, a tapestry of royal betrayal, ancient justice, and forensic science. The screaming mummy of Deir el-Bahari remains a potent symbol of a story violently suppressed. He is a ghost from the court of Ramesses III, a silent witness to a failed conspiracy. Whether he was a disgraced prince paying the ultimate price for treason, the unfortunate victim of a sudden illness, or the subject of a horrific execution, his fate was sealed as an outcast. Denied a name, an identity, and a peaceful eternity, he has achieved a different kind of immortality. He is the face of history's unsolved mysteries, a haunting reminder that the silent dead can sometimes tell the most terrifying stories. His scream, trapped in time, forces us to confront the brutal realities of power, ambition, and retribution in the ancient world. It is an echo from a distant time, a human voice calling out from across 3 millennia, demanding to be heard. What other secrets lie buried beneath the sands, waiting to scream their stories to the world?